Hello and welcome to Moving Through Menopause. I'm having an interesting afternoon with technology, so forgive me if I feel a bit flapped. I'm not totally unflappable, it seems. But anyway, thank you so much for joining me. And I'm really excited to have this discussion today with Kelli Calabrese. Kelli, if I've said your name wrong, I'm really sorry. Please feel free to correct me.
You're great.
Thank you. So, Kelli is a divorce coach. And you know what? This is something I didn't even know existed until we met. But you know, I can see why this is something that could be so helpful for people. You know, these times in our lives when we're experiencing challenges, hurdles to overcome, we're not always able or fully equipped to deal with these challenges on our own. And I think it was your experience of looking for help for your own self when you were having difficulties and traveling through this journey yourself that really prompted you to explore coaching in the context of divorce. And so I'm looking forward to hearing a little bit about how you discovered that this was something that could help other people, because really that's why we're here today. We're talking about the kinds of things that people could do to make these sorts of life transitions, challenges easier. And of course, menopause is a transition. It's and for lots of people it's challenging, and it was for me, which is why I'm here doing this podcast. And so tell us, would you mind, Kelli, a little bit about yourself, your journey to this point, and you know the kinds of things that we can do to help ourselves.
Absolutely. Well, Flippa, thank you for having me. Thank you for bringing this program to the world. The ladies out there absolutely need it. I am in my 50s, so I definitely fall into that group. My whole life has been about health. I decided at 13 that I would be an exercise therapist and really had a beautiful career. Went to school, became a clinical exercise physiologist, and focused in rehabilitation. I got to own and operate health clubs and manage corporate fitness centers. I've been on all the major networks, spoken all over the world, best-selling books. I mean, it's really been a beautiful, beautiful career that's allowed me to help a lot of people be well. And that's what my whole life is about. And then the turning point really came in for me when 24 years into my marriage, my husband came home and said, my commitment to our marriage is zero. And he left. And it really floored me. I mean, it took me to my knees. It emptied me out. It made me question everything about my life. It really, was this, it's a major life event for a reason. A lot of things just, blow up. You feel like a tornado came through and it scattered your life about everywhere and left this gaping hole in your heart. So I went on my own journey of about 3+ years, and really it's still ongoing. I don't know that it ever ends, but I really wanted to find out how to be well, how to never repeat those mistakes again, what my part in it was, and how to build a life that was joyful and still a life that you can celebrate and be excited about and help other people along the way, because so many women get stuck in the pain of divorce.
Yeah. Yeah, that is part of the grieving process, you know, passing through each of the stages, and we can get stuck in the stages, the different stages. You can get stuck at any stage, can't you? And that really then can rob you of the rest of what could be a wonderful life, as you say. And I suppose we're not just talking about people who are married to one another, but long-term relationships where you've had a significant other in your life, maybe co-parenting or you know whatever. That when a relationship breaks down, and that you know the pain that ensues, it really does take from us, and we need help to sometimes to navigate that situation.
Yes, the number one age for divorce, believe it or not, is 30, but the number two age is 50.
Mm.
Traditionally, it's been about 50% men and 50% women who ask for the divorce. But recently, since COVID, it's actually been 76% of women who are asking for the divorce. And I think when you get to this stage of our lives, that some of the women are like, oh, well, the men were going to come home for, this pandemic and they're going to help out around the house. They're going to help with the kids. They're going to, and that wasn't necessarily the case. And so a lot of women, looked around at their lives and said, wow, I'm done with the child rearing for the most part by this age. The kids are independent and um, I've taken care of a man for all these years potentially, and now I want to start to have a little fun and enjoy myself. And so that wasn't my case. It was actually my husband who asked me for the divorce. But that's the trend right now where women are saying, you know what? It's my time. And I'm not saying that that's right, but if they've been in an unhealthy relationship and it's been potentially abusive, unhealthy, untrusting, that women are just rising up and having the courage to say, I'm not going to stand for this anymore. So that's what we're seeing right now.
Yeah, I did read that myself. And, I think this menopause journey that, both of us are on traveling through still, I don't know it ever ends, to be honest. Not in a bad way, just a fact. Is that you start to do a series of evaluations of your situation, and I think you're right. I'm quite sure that it's almost like a little view into what retirement might be like when both of you are knocking about the house all the time, and maybe that little insight was something that people were not liking the look of, and taking the decision that while there's still life to be lived, maybe now is the time. So, and like you said, we're not, our job is not to judge. It's really just to say that if this is the path that you happen to be on, the ups and downs that you encounter, and that is inevitable. That even when a change is for the better, new jobs, new houses, having babies, all of these life transitions can present ups and downs. It goes along with the territory, doesn't it?
Absolutely. Yeah. The people who were married, 20 plus years, they had been through some stuff. I mean, if you've been married that long, you've been through loss and, beginnings and endings and disappointments, and you could probably ride out something like a pandemic. But if your marriage was already rocky, the pandemic kind of brought out and escalated all of those points. So, if there was already poor communication and distrust, infidelity, if that was already there, this really shined the light on it. Because when you're together 24/7, there's nowhere to hide. there's no secrets, and people are stressed out. So if you had two people who weren't already united, they were already divided, and then you add the stress of this pandemic, it really did lead to an increased number of people getting divorced, less people getting married, more people requesting prenuptial agreements, more people just living together. So it's definitely, changed people's situations.
Yeah, definitely. I can speak to that. But for the most part, people seek help when things are not feeling so easy, and and that you feel like you might want some support or assistance as you transition to a single life, say, for instance. And so, it is nice to know that there is help available, and so you must have a flavor of some of the common things that people have difficulty with as they travel through on this path.
Yes, when I start working with my divorce coaching clients, one of the first things that I have them do is a to don't list, where we're always thinking about what do I do, what do I add, what we're adding and adding and adding and adding, but sometimes there's things we have to stop doing, especially with the chaos of divorce. before we could even start doing a lot of things. Because there's so many things, there's attorneys and dividing houses and possibly moving and changing kids' school districts and friend groups. And it's a major life event for a reason. So one is to really get a hold of the chaos as best as possible. Even in the military, they will tell you first, you have to calm down. Don't do anything from this emotional, frantic, just, crazy state. You don't want to make any decisions from that place. So first is just get calm. Another is don't see yourself as a victim. And I don't want to minimize any awful situations that people have been through. There is just horrific, there's abuse, there's mental, physical, there's terrible things that happen. And some people truly are a victim, but not seeing yourself there, not, just having the courage to get back up again. If you sit there and you just, tell everyone you meet over and over and over, how terrible it was and what a victim you are, that's not helping you. So another key is you don't need to tell every person that you meet about what's going on in your life. Not everyone needs to hear that story, because as you retell it, you're also putting that track in your brain, you're retelling, and now right away it brings in all these emotions, and it just contributes to going in the opposite direction. So stop telling everyone, stop repeating your story. It keeps you stuck in the past. Another is don't run into the arms of another man. I remember when I was going through some counseling, and I knew my marriage was over at this point, and the counselor said to me, Kelli, when word hits the street that you're single, all the men are going to come crawling to you and running to you. And well, that did not happen. I did not want that to happen. But he said, please promise me you'll wait at least 2 years before you get married. And it's been over 3.5 and I'm still not even dating. So that was not my case. But I see that. I had a lot of women who, dear friends of mine, were getting divorced at the same time that I was. And they ran, right into the arms of another man. And for some people, that may actually help with their healing to get with someone who they can trust and who loves and adores them. But I would definitely suggest get healed yourself as much as possible from all of the woundings, and, give yourself some space and be okay being alone. So don't run right into the arms of another man. Another is don't medicate with whatever, alcohol, drugs, escapism, isolation. You can overexercise. You can take something good and do too much of it. And you're trying to just get the pain to stop. So realize, it could be Netflix, whatever it is that you're doing that you're trying to self-medicate with, just really grab a hold of that and do something healthy. Overspending, don't go out and you think, oh, I want a new wardrobe, I want to look sexy, you need to get a hold of your budget during divorce, because there's a lot of uncertainty. You might not know how things are going to sort out with finances. So not a time to overspend, and also don't overcommit at this time. This is the time to really release things and don't put too much on you, because you just need the space as you're going through, getting those negotiations for divorce and figuring out kids and furniture and jewelry and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah, I mean that is interesting, isn't it? Things on the face of it that might seem innocuous, like binge watching television, or even good for you, exercise. When we take any of those things to the extreme, we're moving into unhealthy territory. And so you're distracting yourself with these things, and that's stopping you from going through that process that we need to travel through in order to get to the other side, really, isn't it?
Yes. Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, we're gonna try and feel better with something, and we need it to be something healthy. For me, it's my faith. I turn to God to fill that space, because really nothing else can, as far as I'm concerned. I know it's not everyone's belief, but that's what worked for me.
Yeah. Well, and so I know that you work with people who are traveling this path, and so and this is kind of not something that I'm overly familiar with, not yet anyway. I, I don't know. It could be coming up to that time. If my husband's upstairs in self-isolation, and I tell you, the novelty of running up and downstairs with cups of tea is wearing thin.
Well, my first goal is always for a marriage to stay united. And I have helped several couples to do that really by working. I have nothing against men. I love men. I'm not saying that their hurt is, not as bad as the women. It is for sure. My heart has just been for women. And so when I get the women and get them to work on themselves, the marriage can start to work when the women build, their confidence in them and work on the things they need to. So if it's healthy, if it's safe, if it's possible, I, would love most excellent to keep the marriage together and happy, but sometimes it's just too far gone.
Yeah, I like that you said that actually, because that was on my mind and it was in some of the material that I was looking over before we met today. That, communication is so very important in a relationship of any kind. And so it may be that by working on ourselves a little bit, then we can improve the relationship and never take that path to divorce. And so I am happy to hear that that is sometimes the case for the people that you come upon. But having said all that, we're here to help people who have travelled, who are encountering this challenge in their lives. And so, how do we heal faster? And this amazing bonus life. I love the way that you call it that. Really, to kind of think of that you've actually gained something potentially at the end of all this, once we've traveled through. So tell me a bit more about that.
Yes. Well, I put together the program that I wished that I had in my 3.5 years of going out and going to the retreats and going to the seminars and reading the books and doing divorce care and getting certified as a divorce coach. I put together what I really feel like the things that are the biggest difference makers in helping women heal quickly and move on and get healthy. And one of the first things that we discuss is identity. Your identity was a wife, maybe for 20, 30 years. And now that was taken away. And if your kids are, older, now your role as a mom has changed and maybe your neighborhood has changed. And all those things. So really knowing who you are alone by yourself and figuring that out is a good place to start. Just who you are whole by yourself. The second thing I talk about, and people don't like this, is forgiveness. And they're like, oh, Kelli, if you heard my story, you would never be telling me. And again, I'm not minimizing horrible things that were unfair and unjust and wrong that should never have been done. But really, the forgiveness is for yourself. And it's about, forgiving yourself maybe for feeling like a failure or for allowing yourself to stay in an abusive relationship or, whatever it is that you stop burning yourself. You stop holding your own feet to the fire and you really release that and you'll get so much freedom from that. And for me, again, it's between me and God. And it's not so much about the other person, but when you can get to a point that you can forgive the other person and not only forgive them, but actually bless them in the area where they offended you. So in my case, my former husband was re-engaged within a month of our divorce and remarried really quickly. And I can honestly say that I bless him and his new wife. I want nothing but the best for them because anything else would just harbor bitterness and ugliness in my heart. So forgiveness is definitely a whole chapter. And then we talk about renewing your mind. So stop staying in the past. Stop retelling that story. Stop, wishing that these things had happened that will never happen. So we just renew your mind to get present and then to start to get, excited about what can happen and speak life and use your words to speak good things. Self-love, because there's a lot of self-loathing that goes on where, maybe you blame yourself if I had done this or if I had looked this way or we just we blame ourselves and then we don't love ourselves. And here we are in the middle of our lives and our bodies are changing and our skin, our hair, I mean, everything. And we're not feeling as sexy. And, we can really lose a lot of confidence there. So how do you love yourself? Gratitude is a superpower. So when I get women to start using gratitude, that changes everything. We talk about purpose because a lot of times at this season of your life, we're like, okay, now here I found myself single. What do I even do? What's the meaning of life? And so we go through that because you do still have a great purpose and a plan on your life. Of course, we talk about what I call divine health. So that is the one thing that you have the most opportunity to do something about. That's your vibrancy and your health, physically, emotionally, mentally, spiritually, in every way. We talk about abundance because so many women have a poverty mindset when they're going through divorce, and they just think, I'll never have money again. I'm always just going to scrape by. I don't know if I'll make my bills. I'll never be able to go on vacation. And how am I going to get a job after 20 years? So we work on that. And then finally, it's about just joy and celebration, just celebrating a life that is to come, being excited that the past doesn't equal the future.
I really feel like this program could benefit anybody, to be honest. I
You
mean,
are
I
right.
do.
It could.
Yeah, but all of the things that you mentioned are part of living healthy holistically,
Yeah.
and that's been your life's work, hasn't it, as well? So clearly, you're drawing on all of the knowledge that you've accumulated up until this point. But yeah, I mean, I think I fancy this myself, to be honest.
Oh my goodness, it would be great for anyone, and honestly, everyone needs all of these things, I believe. It doesn't just have to be over a relationship breakup because we all have, hurts and woundings in different
Mhm.
areas of our life. So I
Yeah.
just think it applies for everyone, for all things.
Yeah, yeah. I absolutely concur. And you really have condensed it down. What would I can imagine would have taken quite a lot of time of your time
Yeah.
to kind of come across all of this in different. I can see how you would find it in different bits in different places. And to have it all together in one place just sounds perfect. It
Well,
really
yeah,
does.
it was a journey. I mean, it was 3.5 years of really waking up every day and seeking, reading the books, listening to the podcasts. And I hired over 21 experts. So I had a breath therapist, I had a brain health therapist because my memory, I had PTSD, I wasn't remembering things. I had a meditation expert. I had someone who helped to, break things off from the past. So an energy worker. And I actually interviewed 21 of them for my program, the Intentionally Fabulous Single Redefined program. So I didn't know about conflict resolution and, how to be a good negotiator and, all of those things. So I interviewed my divorce recovery coach and my healing place coach. And so that's all part of the program that's in there.
Yeah, wow. It's really fantastic, I must say. And to see you looking so happy and healthy and vibrant, it does encourage us, I
Oh,
think,
good.
as well.
Good. It is genuine. I mean, what is inside you is what comes out of you. So when life gets hard and you're squeezed and there's stress, if there's bitterness and anger and depression, if that's what's in you, that's what's going to come out of you. If you're defensive and if you just don't work through the hard things and really heal, that's what comes out of you. So when I walk into a room, I want people to feel good energy. I want them to lean in, not for my ego at all, but for them to go, wow, what does she have? I want that. So I want
Yeah.
the light that's inside me to really shine and let other people have the opportunity to catch it.
Yeah, it's infectious. I can tell you, sitting here, it's very infectious. And the other thing, of course, is it doesn't just leave us psychologically harmed, but actually these negative emotions turned inward, can affect our physical, our heart health, and really make us sick on so many levels. So the healing journey that you are recommending, suggesting that you can support people through is so important. Like you say, for anyone who's had any kind of trauma, really to deal with it, to use the strategies to just be our best selves. I sent out my newsletter yesterday and I put be the best you in 2022. And I love things that rhyme, but we're being the best version of ourselves, and we're only doing that for ourselves at the end of the day. But as you say, the outward appearance then is that of just sheer joy and beauty, and that really is something to aspire to, I must say.
Well, thank you. You can't separate the spirit, the mind, and the body. They're all connected. So if I started working with people physically, like you actually work with people so beautifully, and what I noticed was when I got their bodies well, their minds started to change. They'd come in and say, wow, my coworkers even noticed that. I'm just happier, and I think my kids even like me better. My wife said I'm really in a good mood. And so then I started studying the mind, and when you get to the end of the mind, the most quantum level, what's left is the spirit. And so when you are working with all three, there's only so much we can do in our flesh and only so much we can do in using the capacity of our brain. But when you bring in the spiritual component, that's when the supernatural, miraculous things happen.
Yeah, well, yeah, I love that. So I know you've been a busy bee, and you've got more than one book to your name, Kelli. But what would you like to tell us a bit about your latest version?
Yeah, so the latest book is Success Habits of Super Achievers. A little copy here. And it is a best-selling book. You can actually, if they want to get it electronically, they can go to my website, kellycalabrese.com. They can see how to spell it there. They can get a free copy of that. So that book tells the story of over 80 people were ordinary people who had something unreasonably difficult happen to them, and they overcame that. They were resilient. They got back up. They were courageous, and they did something extraordinary with it. And the book is really written to give people hope and encouragement. So I suggest people read one story a day, because when you get up and you read one of those stories, it's only a couple of pages, you look at what that person has done, you say, wow, if they could do that, then I can get up and handle my day today.
Yeah, really, it is inspirational, isn't it? And like you say, not to dwell on the negative, and to somehow for us to embrace the possibility. Oh,
Lost in your piece.
sorry. To embrace the possibilities that each day could be miraculous. Uh, why not? I mean, give it chance is definitely what I would say. Well, thank you so much, Kelli, for giving your time today. There's some really fantastic information, and so I know I will be sharing. Well, you already kind of have as well, but I will be sharing your details if people wish to be in touch with you and to get some more support, or just to be in your presence. I think is could be quite enough.
Well, thank you. I do answer every email. So if anyone wants to email me, kelly@kellycalabrese.com, I would love to hear, about your story, your challenges, anything that maybe inspired you from listening today. And I have a free private Facebook group for any women who are going through any seasons of separation, divorce, post-divorce. It's called Intentionally Fabulous. So that's on Facebook, and they can join us there, and they can find me pretty easily in all the places.
Good. Well, yes, your name is slightly unusual.
Yes.
So yeah. Well, thank you so much for your time today, and I'm looking forward to chatting with you over the email and keeping in touch. Please uh, let me know if any of your people are interested in joining my Moving Through Menopause Facebook group as well, because this is something, the conversations that we have, the way that we help one another, just with our own little dose of information, and that really often it's like you found, more than one person is sometimes required. So
Yes.
to get together to help one another, that's really the only reason that I'm here. So, but thank you again so much, Kelli, for
I
today.
love that. Thank you for all your programs in this show. You're doing wonderful work.
Thank you. Bye for now.